Hello everyone, my name is Griffin and we are back with another reaction video. We are reacting to another Isaac Butterfield video. This one is called Right Wing Trans versus Left Wing Trans. Well, there are many things we all have opinions on when it comes to, transgender. But let's see what this video has to say, and I will give my commentary throughout it.
Thought that everyone who belongs to a certain group thinks exactly the same. Now, this is very common in the LGBTQ community. If you are a part of that community and if you want to belong, you have to have the exact same politics, the same wants, the same needs, the same everything. And if you step outside of those boundaries, then you are...
I do have an opinion on the LGBT group, the Alphabet Mafia, as it's also known as. The community of the LGBT, I think, is probably fine. Their ideas, the wants they want for, for them to be treated as equals, for them to have respect, for them to feel safe. I believe all the ideas for that is, I agree with it. They shouldn't have to deal with discrimination or anything, and and all that. I think it's the actual group, not the community, the group itself, the entity itself, that is being very toxic for the community. They're not really doing anything to help them, I don't think. I think they're, at this point in time, they're doing more damage than good. I mean, back when it originally started, they've made a lot of strides into helping make things better for the trans community and for the gays and all of them. But nowadays the group itself, I think, is being more toxic to the community of the LGBT than anything else.
Kicked to the curb. But truth be told, we all know deep down that there is a huge difference between a gay man and a trans teenager. But it seems that no one is willing to say that. But there is one YouTube channel who put this entire idea to the test, and that is Jubilee. They have over 8 million subscribers, and they like to ask difficult questions and put two ways of thinking together to see if they can have some middle ground. And in this video, they put trans conservatives against trans liberals, trans people on the right versus the left, to see if they could agree on certain things. But first, ladies and gents, my book Better Man is now available worldwide. You can grab this absolutely everywhere. It's a very important book, I think. For me personally, and for everyone who's been a part of this channel for a long time. It talks a lot about men's mental health, a lot about, well, basically everything that is important in a young man, a middle-aged man, or an old man's life. And I think, hopefully, it will help a lot of men be better people. It talks about relationships, talks about goal setting, talks about a lot of different shit. It's fucking good. Go and check it out. Righto, on to question number 1.
It is a safety concern for trans women to share a female restroom.
Now let's look at this question. It is a safety concern for trans women to share a female restroom. Yes. Yes, it is. Because there are people who go trans just so they can get access to female-only areas like sports, restrooms, dorms, oddly enough, prisons. And they do this just so they can get access to that area and access to these women. Now, I'm not saying that's a majority of them. That's a very small minority of them. So, but the thing is, you don't know the mental state or mental stability of the person that is a trans woman going into these female only spaces. So you don't know if they're doing that because they genuinely feel and believe that they are female, or if they're doing it just so they can have access to these female only spaces. So overall, in general, yes, it is a safety concern. Because despite what this whole trans thing is and has become, trans women are still biological men and therefore at a physical advantage over biological women. Because they have well over a decade, if not 2 to 3 decades, of being and having the advantage of the male hormones that have built upon what they have become and eventually wanted to now transition. No amount of hormone therapy will decrease you to the point of being so weak you can't overpower a woman like a man could. It only goes down so much. You're still physically stronger because you have taken advantage of being a male for so long. So this question overall, yes, it is a safety concern.
Okay, this one's a complex one. Why? Well, on one side, they say that anyone should be able to gain access to a female's bathroom or change room if they say that they are female, no matter how long they've been saying this for. If they say it once, then yes, that's them, they're female, done, end of story. On the other side, they believe that no one should gain access to a female bathroom or change room unless they are a biological woman. But I have issues with both of those sides of the argument. On this side, hey, I could just say that I'm a woman if I want to go into the female change room. If I want to be a big creep, I could just say that I'm a woman and then I'm allowed in. And on the other side, what about trans women who look like women, act like women, sound like women, have breasts, the whole thing? It's a bit weird for them to go into a male change room, wouldn't you agree? They probably wouldn't feel safe in there. But then again, on the other side, some women don't feel safe having biological men in their change room, in their bathroom, which is fair. The first group to sit down on Jubilee is the Conservatives. And they seem to agree that there is definitely an issue here.
There are a lot of people, there are a lot of men just simply self-IDing and to being trans women to utilize the female restroom and to harm women.
Or just be there. They're getting arousal from just being there.
You know, there was a photo or it was a video that went viral, I think like just 2 weeks ago, with some like whole man with a boner in the women's restroom.
Okay, so I think we can all agree that this is completely inappropriate, without a doubt. There was also a trans person recently in Planet Fitness in America who was shaving their face. Like how can you possibly feel comfortable as a woman being in there with someone who looks like a man, shaving their face, but they just say that they're a woman? How can you possibly feel comfortable getting changed or going to the toilet with them right next to you? And remember, this isn't just adult women. There are little girls in these rooms as well. How do they possibly feel comfortable? And if you're a dad, do you feel comfortable letting your little girl run into the ladies' change room or bathroom knowing that there's a biological man in there shaving his face?
Trans women.
Yeah, that's it. There was many stitches made of this person's TikTok, where this person basically just made a threat, and they were supposedly trans, saying, "I dare you to stop me from going into the female restroom." And there were many dads who made a stitch saying that if anyone like that person ever dared to go into a female area, be in a change room or restroom, and that father saw that person, that he would physically stop them from going in there, from at least until their daughter was out. And if that person tried to push their way to go in after their daughter went in, I honestly wouldn't blame the dad for beating the ever-living shit out of that trans person. I'm sorry, but you know, there are dads who can be very protective of their children. And a person who made a threat like that, like, "I dare you to stop me," I guarantee you there are people who will fucking stop you. Bloody. So you gotta be very careful when it comes to this stuff, because I get that there are people who genuinely believe that they are a woman trapped in a man's body, and they go into transition, they get the full thing, they go the hormone therapy replacement, the breasts, their voice changes. Some of them get bottom surgery, which I highly recommend. Please make sure you, once you decide on that you do not regret it, because that cannot be reversed. So be very careful with that one. But who have all this stuff done, and they're going in there with that they fully believe that they are a woman and everything. I think those people are fine to go into these spaces, but you also have to see it from the other perspective as well, that some of these women feel that they feel unsafe about a person who is biologically born as a man going into their spaces. You have to see it from both perspectives to really get a general idea. You can't just see it from your perspective and just completely ignore the other side. That is no way to go about things.
Who are actually trans, we're talking gender dysphoria, transitions, making the effort, probably once you reach a certain point in your transition where you can actually assimilate within that space and not cause a disruptance, that would probably be the ideal time to start doing that, right?
Okay, very fair.
I can't tell if this person is trans. If they are, that is a hell of a transformation. There are some trans people out there who it is absolutely amazing. You cannot tell at all that they were once male. It is amazing how far medical science has come nowadays. Now we can't fully change somebody from one gender to the other. We do not have the technology for that to be possible, to biologically change somebody to the other gender. I think maybe someday down the line, I'll probably be long dead by then, we will probably be able to do that if we can. That's great for the trans community, but it for how far medical science has come now to make it look like somebody was never a male to begin with, it is amazing.
Yeah, I think anyway. For Blair White, the trans person here, it would be ridiculous, I think, for her to walk into a men's change room. I mean, look at her. Based purely on how she looks, it would be a bit ridiculous. We make a lot of assessments as human beings on first impressions, and safety is definitely one of them. If you're a female and you see Blair White walking into the change room and she's got boobs and she looks like a woman and talks like a woman and long hair and has committed to being a woman, I think you would feel a whole lot better, a whole lot safer than if I were to walk in with a wig. So this then brings us to the age-old question, well, since about 2016 anyway, what about a third bathroom?
I actually offer some solutions to this because
I think that would probably be quite expensive for a lot of businesses to have that. But that's probably a touchy subject too. But I think in most cases it would probably be a good idea to have a third bathroom for trans people and people who believe that non-binary is an actual thing.
I believe the free market can handle all of this stuff, because in government-run and government-funded buildings, there should always be a third space for us to use. And I do. When I go to the Capitol and stuff like that, I always use third spaces.
In theory, a third bathroom is an amazing idea. It's fantastic. It looks after everyone. And if you're a business who wants to provide that, then go for it. As long as you're not forced, and there's been governments that are trying to push this through, they're trying to get people to have to provide a third bathroom. Well, that's just inappropriate in a lot of different places. Because what do you...
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think it's a good idea, but you can't and you shouldn't force people to do something that they don't want to do or that they are not comfortable with doing. And that's just no way to go about somebody's life. I mean, it's It's a good idea. I mean, if you want to have one put in your building or anything, that's fine. But you shouldn't have to force somebody to conform to your idea and to what you want. Should never have to force anybody to do that.
You're supposed to have a male, a female, any gender, and then a disabled bathroom. Who has all that room for all those bathrooms, and who's willing to pay all like tens of thousands of dollars to put in these extra bathrooms? Perhaps it's not financially viable, and you shouldn't be forced to do it. If you want to do it, fucking go nuts or cut them off. Whatever.
Yeah,
If you're a decent
it can be very expensive just to. I mean, especially if a business is already built and established and everything, it can be very expensive to renovate to put in a third bathroom. That is thousands of dollars. But you know, I think there are plenty of businesses that can, but there are a lot that can't because it can be quite pricey.
person, you do what causes the least amount of problems for people around you. And if you're, a moral person, you're going to be conflict avoidant in general when it's something like that, right? It's like, what's the point of causing issues for anyone, especially if you're really just trying to pee?
I think just put
Get
your
it
head
done.
down, go in, get out.
I think this is so vastly important. Or are you so caught up in your own self-importance that it's all about you? You don't care that everyone else is uncomfortable just as long as you're comfortable. Surely you don't think like that. Surely normal people don't think like that. Okay, now, the left-wing folk are a riot.
Yeah, it's complex. On the one hand, you want to make sure you're comfortable and you're happy, and on the other hand, you want to make sure that everyone else is also happy. But you shouldn't have to sacrifice one for the other. There has to be a middle ground. You can't make yourself happy and comfortable at the expense of everyone else around you, because at that point, it's no longer good. And you can't sacrifice one person's happy and comfortableness for the sake of the many, because at that point you're just exiling somebody. There has to be a middle ground where everybody's happy and everybody's content, everybody's comfortable. But in most cases, nobody is really willing to put in the effort to come together, have a civil debate, and find a common ground. People just want to shout out their ideas and say, I'm right, no, I'm right, you're wrong, this is how we should do it, end of story. Nobody's willing to debate and come to a middle ground anymore.
I think this should be interesting.
The one thing I kept hearing through all of the nuance is passability. Ultimately, when we talk about passability, it determines how you get harassed in the bathroom. Because honestly, if you don't look so passable.
The work she had is actually not that bad. You can still somewhat tell that she used to be a man, compared to Blair, which you can't really tell. You'd have to really look at her. You'd have to really look at her face to tell if she was once a man. It's interesting to see the different levels of trans. I think the work she got though is pretty good.
Or whatnot, people are going to say, oh, that's a man with a dress on, and then there's going to be discourse.
Here's an issue with all of this, is we're talking about just your personal feelings, how you feel as a trans person. Like, do we have to drop everything and make you feel comfortable? What about the majority of people who are just in there to go to the toilet or get changed or whatever? Shouldn't we be worrying about how they feel? Like, obviously this person here, if they walk into a female change room, no one's going to really give a shit because they look like a woman. But if you don't, then people are going to feel, they're not going to feel safe, right? They're not going to feel safe. And right now when we're talking so much about women's safety, wouldn't you think that it is important to protect them? I would absolutely think that. I think it's absolutely important to make them feel comfortable, particularly in such a vulnerable place like a bathroom or a change room.
Who cares who's trans and who's cis going in the bathroom? You should be minding your own business.
So another thing, stop forcing people to accept cisgendered. It's just male and female. It's not cis male, not cis female. It's so dumb. It is so dumb. It's headache inducing.
being able to pee and do your business in peace.
Surely any logical person can see why some people would be uncomfortable. And if you don't, you are so caught up in your own cult that you are talking absolute shit. You have lost touch with reality.
Conversation around this man with a boner on or whatever like that, I saw that picture and I thought to myself, that's really a right-wing talking point and conservative propaganda.
Right wing, left wing, y'all are fucking nuts. People, I think it's hilarious that neither side can really come to an understanding because they feel like they have to shout down the other and say that, no, you're wrong, your idea is stupid, my idea is better, or what I'm saying is right, you're wrong, and all this sort of, it's just, it is so dumb. People don't see the bigger picture anymore. They have such a narrow view of what their idea is and the idea that is being pushed to them. They don't see the broader picture of everything else around them. They can't see the world around them. Their tunnel vision is too fucking powerful. They just see this. And the world around them is just, blocked out. These people, these liberals, conservatives, they all have such a narrow view of the world that they can't see the damage they're doing to everyone else around them.
Propaganda.
Hey. Either there was an erection or there wasn't, okay? That is what's most important here. Either there was or there wasn't. It's not talking points, it's not ideology, it's not right versus left. Dick hard or not.
How is it propaganda if it's a thing that really happened? It was caught on video. Like, it was an actual occurrence. It wasn't staged. It happened.
That's not enough for me to say because actors can do that.
Fucking pardon me.
That's not enough for you to... It doesn't matter how you feel on it. It actually happened. Doesn't matter what you believe or how you feel about it. If it actually happened, if there's actual physical proof of it happening, then there's no debate. It actually factually happened. What you believe and feel on it does not matter. It happened. Shut the fuck up.
What?
Who knows? They could have been an actor.
Could have been Cillian Murphy, right? Really excited. Really excited. Real hard and excited about blowing up Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's who it could have been. That makes complete sense.
I can definitely actually almost empathize with a lot of trans women and their experience in the bathroom and a lot of the turmoil with going in and especially with passability. But the layer that I feel like in the conversation that's missing here is actually trans men. And also the fact that I was born biologically female.
I don't think this is so much of an issue.
This is also amazing. The other side is just... It is really amazing with the medical science we have. You cannot tell that, with clothes on, you can't really tell that this person was once a female. I find it completely and utterly amazing what science and medical science is able to do with the human body. This is amazing. You cannot tell that this person was once a woman.
It's sort of like the exact same argument as, hey, if you're a trans woman, used to be a man, you can't compete against biological women because it's unfair. It doesn't seem appropriate. But the other way around, no one really gives a shit. I think it's exactly the same. No one really gives a shit. Because really, the same can be said for being in danger or feel uncomfortable in the bathroom or change room. Dudes aren't really gonna feel in danger if there is someone who used to be a woman in there being a man, are they? Also, just to add to all of this, I think it's very important that we make trans people feel comfortable in the bathroom. Like, they should feel, they have to go to the toilet somewhere, right? But I also think it's important for whoever's genitals match the correct bathroom for them to feel comfortable as well.
There's a
reason
X's.
we all go to the same bathroom based on what genitals we have. It's because we're all doing the same thing. I don't know. It's a very, very tricky situation because there's so many variables. It's hard to say one or the other is appropriate. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, but we need to move on to the next question. But before we do, this video is brought to you by the great people at I Wanna Gummies. Now, do not skip this ad, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry.
That gets troll code.
Sorry,
Now,
Isaac,
will say
but
this,
I am skipping it.
down below. Now, on to the next question. Now, I will say this video itself is an hour and a half long. We're not going to divulge into every single question and break it down, but let's just quickly look at this question.
I support the transgender military ban.
This is a tricky one. See, when it comes to transgender, there's a lot of mental instability, and you can't be really mentally unstable when it comes to military operations. You have to be able to completely focus on the mission and everything. Now, to completely ban transgender across the entire board of the military, I'm unsure on this. I'm unsure. I'm not exactly sure because I don't know everything about the military. I only know stuff about the military of what my dad told me because he was in it for 30 years. So I'm unsure of this.
Agreeers?
I think on this particular one, if it doesn't affect your job in the military, if you can still shoot people, you know, whatever your job happens to be, then by all means, as long as you don't want taxpayers to pay for your treatment and, you know, or your surgery or whatever, then I don't see a problem with it. And I don't think the majority of people would. As long as it doesn't impact how you fight on the battlefield or how you deal with being away from a populous area with pharmaceuticals and all that type of stuff, then you're sweet. If you can perform, by all means. Actually, you know what? Let's play a little bit of this because this is an interesting question.
I just really.
Yeah, it's I think there are some jobs in the military that can be done by trans people, but like I said, I'm unsure about this question. I would have to ask my dad what he thinks about it, because he, like I said, he was in the military, so I think he might have an opinion on it. But yeah, I'm quite unsure about this one.
really hope that the people at the top that you're referring to aren't transphobic, because let's be clear of the isms that are in the military.
Man, we live
that
in
a lot of
America.
us face.
People are allowed
Excuse me,
to
I'm
be.
speaking. Do not interrupt a black trans woman when she's speaking.
Your sexual orientation and your ethnicity does not matter. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, I don't give a fuck what color you are, what politics you have, what gender you are. If you say something like that, the entire world collectively replies with "fuck you" to the moon.
Yeah, see, if you want to be like that, be very disrespectful and everything, I will and if you say don't interrupt a whatever color you are, sexual orientation, whatever you identify as, and you want to be that disrespectful, look, I know interrupting can be disrespectful too, but if your reaction is like that, rude and disrespectful, and say shit like that, I will immediately invalidate anything you say, because at that point, no, fuck you.
As somebody who's
But it
serving in the
doesn't. For
military,
you to
as
tell a
somebody
black
who, no,
person that is so
as somebody who's
problematic.
serving,
For you
So
to
why
tell
do
a
you have
person
to
of
put
color
black
here,
in front of it?
At that point, nope, you're immediately invalidated of what you are saying at the current question. Nope, sorry, you're being a bitch. Fuck off.
As I am, this is my experience and this is my reality. First of all,
It has nothing
that
to
is
do with
so
your transness,
disrespectful
though.
to tell a person
I'm
of
gonna have an
color,
aneurysm.
a black person, how they should feel. How dare you sit up there
Okay,
and
well-
say
He didn't mention your color. He didn't mention any of that, you dumb bitch.
No, hang on. How did this become a conversation about race? This is why people don't want to listen to people from the far left, because you bring up shit like this every single time and no one's even talking about it. No one cares. Anyway, whatever. Moving on to the next question.
Schools should include trans conversation in sex ed.
No, absolutely not. I will say, if you want to bring it up in college, go ahead. Preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school. No. Leave kids alone. This should not be anywhere near children. No. Like I said, you want to bring it up in college? By all means, go hog wild. But leave it out of any of the other schools. No. No, school should include trans conversation in sex ed. No. Go ahead in college. Not any other ones.
Join our Middle Ground Patreon to watch this exclusive prompt.
Ooh, that was a Patreon exclusive. Well, here are my thoughts. Yeah, it should be taught because it's real. It's reality. But it probably shouldn't be the first thing we focus on. And it shouldn't be given as, hey, you can choose whatever you want to be, baby. You could be this, you could be that, you could start hormone blockers, you could... It shouldn't be taught like that, all right? Because it's a medical condition. There's no other medical condition that we treat like that. If you're a young person, a child asking questions...
Okay, I'll correct myself. Let seniors be able to learn about it. Maybe juniors. But leave it away from kids.
It shouldn't be the first port of call. That is my entire argument with that shit. And honestly, having it there, right in front of all these kids' faces, it opens up this giant can of worms. And it leads to so many other things, like not telling parents about changing the gender or the pronouns. Then it goes on to teaching kids about infinite genders, teaching kids about removing body parts, starting hormone blockers, the surgery, everything. Like that's where it starts. Also, social media obviously reinforces those ideas as well. It's not just school, but it certainly doesn't help. It should be taught, but it shouldn't be seen as the normal way for someone to live their life, in my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below.
It's okay for minors to get top surgery.
Hell fucking no. Hell no. Here's how I see it. No parents at all at any point in a child's life should encourage or pay for it. If the kid wants the surgery, him or herself, they should save up the money, and when they are 18 or older, they should pay for it themselves. Because at that point, they made the decision themselves and they paid for it themselves. And at that point, they have no one to blame but themselves if they believe they made the wrong decision. So, no. In no way, shape, or form should that be anywhere near minors.
Absolutely not. Without a doubt, no. Kids are kids, let them be kids.
When we look at what we allow minors to do, like surgeries and stuff like that, they're not life-saving.
The only surgery any minor should get is if it's something that is medically wrong with them. Something that is harmful to their health, that they have to either get removed or fixed. When it comes to trans stuff, no. Never go anywhere near a minor.
If you don't get it, you're not going to die. It's not like having appendicitis.
If you would not let your child get breast implants, then why would you let them cut their breasts off? That's a very, very good question. It is an irreversible destruction of their body, which is a decision made by them, reinforced by you, that will be there for their entire life. They can never go back. And it's crazy to think that some people think that's a decision that is okay for young people to make. That is madness.
I'm actually vehemently against surgery, like all of it, top surgery, bottom surgery, all of it. Particularly because you need your genitals. Like, it's just that simple.
Hello.
You know, you have these people now who have non-functioning fake penises and vaginas that, you know, you've had issues like, for instance, Richie had, where like your urethra folds in half and then you can't pee no more.
I never really thought about it like that. I actually had a trans person in my crowd just the other week down in Victoria, and we were talking about it whilst I was on stage, and I said, hey, if you're living your life as a trans person and you're happy, just be happy. Don't get the surgery because it's so risky.
Yeah, that's when it comes to that sort of surgery, top and bottom surgery, you have to make sure you are vehemently okay with your decision, that in no way, shape, or form in anywhere down the line of your life you will regret it. Because once it's done, it's done. For women, once you get the top surgery, that's it. For men, once you get the bottom surgery, that's it. It is irreversible. you better make sure you are okay with the decision you've made, because you cannot ever go back.
The risk to reward ratio is so slight. It's notoriously hard to recover from. The incidents for infection are huge. Like, it's very, very risky. It damages your body, it's expensive, and people live to regret it. Just be you. Don't worry about how everyone else sees you. Just be you.
Some of us want bottom, some of us don't, some of us want top, some of us don't.
I
So
understand,
you
but-
need a lot of time as an adult to figure out what you want to do.
But see, the thing is, though, some adults don't even understand what they want to do.
Absolutely. Most adults don't know what the fuck they want to do. They regret things that they did in their early 20s all the time, or even younger. Imagine if you made such a decision so young and you live to 40 years old and go, fucking, why did I do that? That is such a horrific thing for someone to go through and then live the rest of their lives and go, I can't believe people around me let me do that.
Let's not underestimate the power of these kids today. They are very much more educated because they have much more resources.
That doesn't mean that they should have the power of the decision to do that stuff. They're still dumb kids. Whether they have, just because you have more information at the tips of your fingers does not make you more intelligent, does not make you more informed or wise. It just means you have this information. It doesn't mean you know how to utilize said information. These kids are still developing. Your brain develops until you're, I think, 25 to 27 is when it stops fully developing. Like I said, kids should not be able to have this surgery unless they are able to pay for it themselves and they are 18 or older. If they can't pay for it themselves, then they'll have to wait till they get the money for it. And any doctor, I'm sorry, but any surgeon or doctor who does this sort of surgery on any person who's under the age of 18 should immediately lose their medical license. It should be highly illegal.
And access than we did.
What the fuck are you on about? They're still kids. This person, their ideas about the world are unhinged, all right? Unhinged, honestly, it's crazy. And to think that this person probably has a TikTok account with 1 million followers is horrifying. It's terrifying.
Like you said, the children need to go through the proper steps, the parents, the doctors, but in the state of California, if you, as a parent, tell your minor, no, you're not getting this, I'm not affirming your gender, I'm taking your kids away, and California is gonna raise your kids for you.
Is that real? America. That is fucking...
Yeah. It's... Our justice system is so incredibly fucked because of this whole entire woke culture. Because this whole gender affirming shit. Just because you tell your child no when they're a minor does not mean you should have your child taken away from you. You are the parent. The government should not be anywhere near involved in your parenting. Unless you have done something so horribly wrong to your child that you do need to have your child taken away from you. But shit like this where you tell your child no to them wanting to get gender affirming surgery or whatever the fuck it's called, you should not have your child taken away because of that. No. This sort of shit is so fucking ass backwards that it's... I seriously sometimes think our entire society needs a very hard fucking reset.
Crazy. Who the fuck is the government to take your kids away when you're looking after them? I understand if they, live their life and they believe they're trans and all these different types of things and you treat them like shit, then yeah, okay, maybe there needs to be some intervention. But
here's the thing that some people don't seem to understand is that their kids, more often than not, eventually will grow out of it. I mean, what the hell is wrong here? I mean, more than likely with the kids, it's just a phase. Give it a few years, give it 5-10 years, they'll grow out of it. They're kids. They're still growing and developing. What the fuck?
just because you don't do one thing that is completely, in a lot of people's minds, inappropriate. You're just raising them in a very normal fashion. Fuck me, America. I guess it really does matter where you live in a lot of these cases. If you live in like really left-wing states, like you're fucked.
I can't remember what it was. It's the reason why they're shutting down the Tavistock Clinic in the UK, though, is because they found that when you start a child on hormone or on puberty blockers, then hormones, it's basically a foregone conclusion that they're going to end up having surgery. It puts them on a path to it's a sunk cost fallacy.
I don't understand this obsession with.
And here lies a bigger issue. If you hear about being trans at a young age, and then you decide that you need to use different pronouns, and your parents agree, and they start calling you different pronouns, then they change your name. Then they say, hey, well, you better start hormone blockers and all those type of things. Those three things that happen to people at a very early age, they don't give you the opportunity then to get to 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old and decide, maybe I was wrong. Because you've already committed to it. You can't be 10 years old telling everyone you're a girl and being a biological boy and getting to then 20 and saying, you know what, I've lived the last 10 years of my life as a girl, I'm gonna go back. How does that happen? If you commit at a young age, you are so much more likely to go through with surgery, and then that's you. And if you still live with regret and you still have troubles, and you still have problems, that's where severe depression, severe anxiety, social anxiety, all these type of things stem from, in my opinion anyway. Or at the very least, it's certainly one of the causing factors. And I'm not talking about people who are actually trans, I'm talking about people who might see this as an opportunity as a young person to fix an issue that they feel, and their parents are very progressive and they're like, yes, that's you, you've always been that way, rather than just letting them grow up and picking their own, path in life. It's a very dangerous slope if transversed, no pun intended, incorrectly.
The obsession with the conservatives about other people's kids. If it is your child, it is your choice what you do with your kid.
To an extent. But if you beat the shit out of your kids, some people are gonna have a problem with that. As people would if you were teaching your kids to be a
I'm sorry, but if you abuse your children, you no longer should have the right to be a parent. That is when you should have your child taken away.
terrorist or a Nazi. It's not so simple at all. Let's move on to the next question.
Non-binary should not be considered under the trans umbrella.
Non-binary shouldn't even be considered a gender because it's not a gender. People don't understand what non-binary actually is. It means you're not either man or woman, which is not biologically possible. You are born one or the other. You can't be either. It's not an actual thing. You are not non-binary. You are binary. You are either male or female, or trans of them. Non-binary, it doesn't actually exist. A shit ton of the genders, the 7 million genders don't actually exist. They're just made up shit. I'm sorry, but there are only 2 genders. A third if you consider intersex one, but male and female. That's all there is, male and female. Even the majority, a vast majority of the animal kingdom is just male and female. I mean, there are some asexual and hermaphrodite ones, but male, female. It's the only way we can reproduce. No ifs, ands, or buts.
I do think, honestly, that the LGBTQIA plus 2 spirit group is just ridiculous. Why group all of those people together? They're all individuals. They all have individual lives. I don't understand why everyone in that group, as I said at the start of the video, the difference between a gay man or a lesbian woman and a trans teenager is so ridiculously different. They are living completely different lives, and yet they're in the same group. Why? And also, the whole non-binary thing, the whole they-them thing, I'm not even going to say that on YouTube, so whatever. And the next part of this video wasn't that juicy, so let's move on to the next question.
Doctors are manipulating trans medical care.
doctors are manipulating trans medical care. I don't know if that is actually true or if it's just propaganda. Because I believe most doctors do what they do for the betterment of the health of their patients, trans or not. So it's I don't think, you know, like 99% of doctors are trying to manipulate anything. They're just trying to do their job, trying to make sure you're doing better. But I don't know.
All doctors? No. But without a doubt, it's very profitable. There are massive centres all over the world, the Western world anyway, that profit from people with these issues dramatically.
Big pharma profits from medical stuff. It's so fucking horrible. A person's health should not be a for-profit thing. It just should not. A medical center or the pharmaceutical companies shouldn't make millions upon millions of dollars off of you being sick, off of your insurance. That should not be a thing. It should be criminal to do that. And yet they're doing it, and they get lobbyists to do that shit. It's horrible.
They make a lot of money doing this, and the more patients you have, the more cash you make. On top of that, if you need hormones at 14, you're going to need them for the rest of your life. It's a good way to make cash for a long time. And if we know anything about the pharmaceutical industry or the medical industry, having one of those investments that pays off for a long period of time is a great way to do business. Not saying that anyone's involved in that. I'm not saying that's what's going on. Probably not. But it's a great way to make money. And when people are making money, ethics often disappear.
I've been on testosterone since I was 15 years old.
15? Dude, how can you possibly get that drug at 15 years old? And here's the crazy thing. Listen to what he says after that.
And even looking into it, I waltzed my little ass up into that doctor's office and I left on testosterone. He gave me my first shot in the doctor's office that day.
Left on testosterone. Didn't go and see a psychologist, didn't go and do this, tick all these boxes. Walked into the doctor's office, said, I feel like this, boom, done. You decided as a doctor after one meeting that you're going to change a person's life with this drug. Crazy. And the same can be said with a lot of different drugs, don't get me wrong, but particularly this one, that's fucking bananas. Now, we're on to the...
I think there are some doctors who do it because, one, the company they worked for is so afraid of denying it that they're going to get some backlash or some stupid shit, so they're telling their doctors just go ahead and do it. I don't think a vast majority of them are doing that. I think there are some that actually do that because they're so afraid of the social backlash that they'll get.
The last question, and it's a very heavy one, so that's unfortunate, but we're here to watch this entire video.
Gender affirming transition is suicide prevention.
No. I don't think it's suicide prevention at all. I think it's weird that there are people who believe that it is suicide prevention. There are many people who believe that if they get this gender affirming care or surgery or whatever, that they'll feel much better. And don't get me wrong, there are some people who do feel better after it, but a lot of those people who believe they feel better after it it's only for a certain amount of time, and then once their body hormones and everything starts to level out and everything starts to balance itself, there are a lot of people who go right back into how they felt before they got the gender affirming care and whatnot. And a lot of people who are in the trans community, or a lot of trans people, the suicide rate in it is just, it's so fucking high. It's tragic. But as it being a suicide prevention, no, I don't think it is. They need serious mental help, and they need psychiatric care, but I don't believe this is suicide prevention.
Look at our unified front.
I mean, obviously, it's a known thing that trans youth are at greater risk of suicide and just suicidal ideations, which are horrible and will plague you and like ruin your life and make it awful. And so I know there are a lot of kids in a lot of pain, and growing up as a trans kid, I was in so much pain.
Now, I can't begin to imagine what this is like, but I guess it does help, I would imagine.
It can probably help to a point, but does it fully help? I don't think it does. I could be wrong, but I don't think it fully helps. I think it helps to a point.
I've also heard in many cases it doesn't. And that's also a problem here. I've heard particularly for young women who start testosterone that they will feel really, really good really, really quickly. But then it all seems to catch up to them and they feel terrible. So they need to either up the testosterone, or then they need to get surgery, and then they need to change this, and this, and it's a whole lifestyle change. You are a completely different person. You keep making these changes and these interventions medically, and yet you still don't feel great. So maybe this wasn't the problem with you to begin with, and this is why it's such an important thing not to make these decisions as a child.
The problem with that is that's the same line that abusers use. So when you're in a relationship, if you're going to leave somebody and they say, if you leave me, I'll kill myself, then that is an abusive situation. And it's not, you know, so that's the premise we start with.
And then you don't have a choice. If your kid says they're going to kill themselves if you don't do this, then what do you do as a parent? Yeah, maybe the kids actually feel that way, or maybe they've heard that on the internet and that's how to get your parents to allow you to do this shit. Whatever it is, it's full on.
Doctors are telling their parents essentially emotional blackmail. They're saying, trans your kid or your kid's gonna die. And they say it in front of the child, and they set up this false dichotomy as if those are the only two options moving forward. And here to tell any child feeling any type of way, those are not your only two options. In fact, there is a vast array of options.
Exactly. Once that idea is in that young person's head, how could it ever be reversed? They are told and they believe that this doctor will save them and make them feel better. So they're going to do it all. They're going to put all their chips in. They're going to go all in into this ideology. And it might work for some, and maybe it is a serious medical problem for some. But for all, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I think it's really important to have conversations like these guys are on this channel. It's such a crazy topic to talk about because people get so defensive and so upset. But I think that the more conversations we have, the more open we all are about the idea that we're not all going to agree and we all have differing opinions is very, very important. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Grab Better Man right now. It's fucking not bad. And I'll see you in the next video. Big motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. Be extinct. To the revoir. Bye-bye.
So that was right-wing trans versus left-wing trans. I'm not really sure what to say about it. Let me know what you all think in the comments below of the questions that have been put forth against these trans people. I would love to hear your opinions on each of the questions. Please don't bash each other or, you know, go completely nuts. Be civil about it, please. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe for more. I post Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Links to all my stuff will be in the description below. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.